Good evening, everyone. And I made dinner and ate it and then immediately came and sat down here, so on the upside, I'm not gonna be like, my stomach growling isn't gonna get picked up by my mic at the end of the stream. But I'm also so sweaty from standing over the stove. Anyway. Alright, so now we go back to Rise from the Ashes. We'll do this a second court portion, the next investigation portion, possibly the next, like, the the beginning of the next court chunk after that. It just depends on how long it takes. I know this one is long, I just don't remember how long the individual sections are. That being said, let me open up the game. Just give it a minute, it's fine. There we go. Wait, I don't need to change this time. Actually, I might turn the volume up a skosh. Hope everyone's doing good tonight. Now, let's meet the bastard himself. So this is directly following Angel Star's testimony.
Mr. Wright?
Huh? What?
Are trials always like this with you? Like, you're swimming up from the bottom of a lake about to reach the surface, but no matter how hard you paddle, you never seem to get there.
Pretty much. Except today we're swimming in quicksand. So what happened to your sister anyway?
Apparently she got called off to the judges' chambers.
Probably something to do with that piece of cloth. Because if you recall, the end result of Angel Star's, like, multiple testimonies was that there was something, like some kind of cloth in Edgeworth's car's muffler. And that is the sum total of what we learned that she wasn't outright lying about.
So, this is where we turn this trial around, right? Our only weapon, a tiny, insignificant piece of cloth.
I'm the one who's starting to feel tiny and insignificant, to tell the truth. Hola, partner. They say you show a red cloth to a bull, it'll fire up its temper. That's what they told me when I was youngin', at least.
Officer Marshall!
Thought I'd come take a look-see at how the trial's going. Looks like I'm late. They've got the home ranch locked down tighter than a fort in enemy territory. That hard to slip out, huh? What is going on over there, anyway? All the police I've seen these last 2 days have been really on edge. Don't you got enough on your plate without worrying about other people, compadre? You could be worrying about the chief prosecutor's taste in mufflers, for example.
Officer Marshall? The whole muffler thing didn't have anything to do with scarves. She wasn't even wearing a scarf.
Dude, should you really be drinking at a courthouse? You don't say. Now don't that just beat all? I've seen the red breeze blow at her slender neck many a time. I saw it that day, too. She was wearing a red muffler.
What?
At the awards ceremony that afternoon. Edgeworth's seen it too, I'd reckon. What does that mean? In the photograph taken at the crime scene, she wasn't wearing a scarf.
So, Miss Starr wasn't mistaken.
Well, it's about time. Remember, partner, sometimes you gotta grab the bull by the horns. And sometimes you just gotta let that bull go where it will. Time will tell. Ugh. I have a bad feeling about this.
So, what are we swimming in now, Mr. Wright?
If it's steak sauce, I can hook you up with some fine ribs. Hooey! I think what we're swimming in does start with an S, but it is decidedly not steak sauce, Officer Marshall. I'd like to resume.
What's up? The judge keeps looking over at the prosecution.
Is something wrong, Mr. Edgeworth? Your face is blue, your lips are purple, you're sweating bullets. That furrowed brow, those grinding teeth, those watery eyes. My God, he's just the picture of health. What's more, your eyes are unfocused, you're doubled over, your back is bent. Someone call People magazine for I found the sexiest man alive. It can't be. This can't happen.
I wonder what happened to Mr. Edgeworth.
Well then, I believe it is time we continued on with this trial. During our recess, I had requested that the prosecution conduct an investigation. This is unacceptable. It seems our prosecutor is quite beside himself. Excuse me, knock knock. Who's there? Fucker!
What's with this guy? A strange, stuffy aura seems to be filling the courtroom. Hey! The temperature rose 5.7 degrees when that man came in! Who on earth is he?
Ah, it's you! Oh! Sorry I'm late, Udgy. The roads were packed. It's just me. Long time no see, eh, Udgy? How you been? Swim much these days? Ah, hello. No, I've been so busy. Busy schmizzy, Udgy, my boy. You have to make time to relax. Yes, indeed.
Udgy seems to be his nickname for the judge? I'm afraid you're right. Very afraid. Sorry, but who are you?
So you're Righto, the attorney. I've heard good things about you, son. Thank you? So sorry about our little worthy giving you all that trouble, eh? You know, we should all go swimming together sometime. Jolly. Little worthy? Mr. Wright, you don't know the district chief of police? Chief of police? He's the top-ranking police officer in the entire district. And my God, is he orange. Name's Gant, Damon Gant. Pleased to meet you, everyone. So, to what do we owe this honor today? It's been over 2 years since you last came to this courtroom, hasn't it? Well, it's Worthy here. Look at the poor fellow. I just thought I'd help out by bringing this.
Hey, that's my sister's muffler! So Miss Star wasn't just seeing things. When the crime occurred, Miss Sky really was wearing that muffler.
But to think that it was stuffed into that exhaust pipe! On little Worthy's car, no less! It's really quite embarrassing, even for us. What's this? It's what you'd call a switchblade knife. Quite perplexing, this is. Chief, what kind of outfit are you running? Mr. Edgeworth, how could they miss such a vital piece of evidence? If your investigators are this lax, how do you expect us to do our job? Now wait a minute, Worthy. I've no desire to hear your excuses. I'm telling you to wait. Oh, or didn't you hear me? Have a look at this document where it says, Person in charge of investigation. There's no mistaking that signature, is there? Miles Edgeworth. That's not fair. On the day of the crime, I had your head in the clouds because you got that award. I know how you feel. But you're the person in charge. I'll expect a written apology. What? Are you serious? Don't be too upset. We'll find a way to clean up this mess that you made.
This is the first time I've seen Mr. Edgeworth at a loss for words.
This kind of major blunder is unlike you, Mr. Edgeworth. Gah. The court accepts this new evidence, but I'd like to ask the defense a favor first. Yes? Just to be sure, I'd like to take a look at the blade of this knife. The blade, Your Honor? Well, I don't see why not. Could you open it up for me, I wonder? Yes, well, I think all you have to do is push that switch and... If I cut my finger, Mr. Wright, I wouldn't be able to pound my gavel anymore. Or your mother. Yeah, but if I cut my finger, I wouldn't be able to point at people anymore.
Come on! Just hurry up and open it!
Oh, you're really gonna go the long way around, are you? Okay, so where's that switch?
Wah! Don't scare me like that!
I'm the one who's scared!
Look at this knife blade! The tip is broken off!
And this dark red stain. Blood? Alright, switchblade knife. Add to the court record. Found at the crime scene, wrapped in the defendant's muffler. Small tag attached. This does not excuse the actions of the police department. I would like to hear an explanation from the chief of police himself. I'm terribly sorry, but could I ask you to testify for us? About the split between the prosecutors and the police. And this knife. Sure, sure thing. Not a problem, not even a little one. Really. This knife is special, but I can't say how here. Unless there's evidence to prove a connection between this knife and Goodman. That was a bad day for the department. We weren't in any shape to do an investigation. A detective was killed at the police department, see? What a mess. The time of the crime? 5:15. Scary coincidence, eh? It's not officially linked to this here case, so I can't talk much about it. So someone died at the police department at the same time as Goodman? There was a murder at the police department? A detective? That's hush-hush information, Aji. We haven't exactly announced it yet. Wait a second. You said 5:15. That's the exact time that Detective Goodman was killed at the prosecutor's office. Order! 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 Anyway, we at the department were all aflustered, as you might well assume. We're in the middle of a top-secret investigation. Don't tell anyone, okay? I think we understand the police department's situation. Well, Mr. Wright? 2 detectives killed at the same time in 2 different places.
The chances of that are really slim. Scientifically speaking, of course.
I'd like to exercise my right to cross-examine the witness. Very well. However, keep your questions focused on the case at hand. Okay, so what are you up to? Actually, I don't even remember what my evidence looks like. Okay, attorney's badge, Goodman's ID with his ID number, King of Prosecutors trophy, Edgeworth's knife, with the victim's blood and no prints, Edgeworth's parking stop, Blue Badger, autopsy report, loss of blood, 1 knife wound, died within an hour and a half of 4 p.m. Goodman's note, which I still don't really know what that means. Lana's cell phone, muffler, 518. Okay, parking lot, crime photo, victim shoe. Okay, so the tag on the knife says SL9, SL-9, well, 2. And then this looks like 6-7S, but if you turn it upside down, can I? Oh no, I can't rotate it. Damn it! But I bet that says like 221 SL9, which 221 was the day of the murder, correct? Yeah, it was. Okay. Now that is definitely something that I can prove. Objection! Wait a second. Ah, at last! An honest-to-goodness objection! This knife. This has to have something to do with Detective Goodman. What do you mean? An honest-to-goodness, what do you mean from Udgy? This is great. Look at the tag on this knife. It reads SL9 too. And this is important. Why? Over here we also have a memo that was on the body of the victim. What's this? 6 minus 7S 12/2. Your Honor, it's upside down. Upside... The printed name on the memo makes it look like it's right side up. But turn it around and what do you get? Just like Professor Lee. Ah! Aha! Whoever wrote this note was holding the paper upside down. SL9. That's the same thing that is written on the knife's tag. Order! Order! Well, Chief? Ah, well. I guess the cat's out of the bag. You win, righto. I... win? Ah. What game is this guy playing? This knife was evidence in a case. It was stolen from the department's evidence room. That was a bad day for the department. Okay, so tell me one of the detectives you killed. On the same day the detective was killed in the prosecutor's parking lot, another detective was killed at the police department? That's a fact. Surprising, isn't it, Udgy? I'm at a loss for words. And the perpetrator? Do you have a suspect? Well, there was a suspect. Just arrested him, in fact. Just arrested? That was quick. But there's still a lot of unanswered questions. Maybe you could help, righto? I suppose I could help. If you help me by giving me data on your case. Oh, good one! This kid's sharp. Okay, here's the deal. I'll tell you one thing and one thing only. Tell me where the victim was found. So, tell me, where was the victim found? Well, I can't speak on where the corpse was found, but I can say the crime took place in the evidence room at the police department. The evidence room? Oh, wait a second. I have heard of that.
The evidence room. Didn't he mention that in his testimony just now?
This knife was evidence in the case. It was stolen from the department's evidence room. There's the connection between the two cases.
You seem happy, Mr. Wright.
Happy? We just got handed our ticket to go to town on this case. With the link between the two cases established, we finally have some leverage. Now we can get Gant to testify about the details. Chief, the defense's position is simply this. The connection between these two cases has already been proven. You don't say. Well, out with it, Righto. What's your connection? Yes, out with it, Mr. Wright. The connection is a place mentioned in the testimony we just heard. The knife found in the lot was stolen from the police department's evidence room. Not to mention the victim had on him the case number on the knife's evidence tag. And we also know that the detective murdered at the police department was killed in that very same evidence room. Indeed. There do seem to be too many connections for it to be a coincidence. You two make a good pair. It took my men 2 days to find out what you deduced right here. Chief, I request that you release your information on the victim at the police department. See, that's the tricky part. It hasn't been announced yet and all. Can we get the information unofficially? Sure, why not? It's unofficial after all.
What? Really? Who would have guessed?
I'll cooperate, but I can't reveal the name of the victim at the department, okay? I think yes you can. If you're going to tell us a little, why not tell us everything? Well, case information is sticky stuff. You have to do everything properly. Oh well, I guess I might as well try to get what I can out of him. Okay, we know Goodman's ID number, so why don't you compare it to the victim's? Okay, how about you tell me the victim's ID number? Sure, why not? It's not like you'll be able to tell who it is from that. Of course not. You won't tell me their name, after all. We keep a tight lid on ID numbers, so don't go getting your hopes up. The number is 584-2189. Oh, hey, look what Goodman's ID number is. 584-2189. Well, that's quite long. And we have to remember these. It drives me nuts. H2... I can't do it. You didn't even get the first number right. Well, Mr. Wright, does this tell you anything? The ID number of the victim at the police department, 584-2189. This tells me something. Actually, it does, Your Honor. It does. I think. Meaning? It has to be what I think it is. But what does this mean? Hello, Cherry, Furby, and Puff Lion. Well, let's hear what the defense has to say. You say the ID number of the detective who was murdered at the police department tells you something? What does it tell you? It tells me that was also Bruce Goodman. Witness? What is it, Mr. Wright? You're grinning like a schoolgirl on prom night. No, it's just... I got confused. And this is news. Huh? Just come out with both guns blazing, like you always do. The police department, the prosecutor's office, 2 places, 2 detectives murdered. At one time. Actually, I happen to have a police ID number here. Oh-ho! Is it yours? No, Your Honor, I'm a defense attorney. Remember? This is the ID number of our victim, Detective Goodman. Shame on you, Righto. Personnel IDs are top secret. Detective Goodman's ID number is 584-2189. And this means what exactly? Huh? Wait! That ID number we heard from the chief earlier. That started with 82? I've forgotten. You didn't even get the first number right! Again! The number the chief of police gave us was 584-2189. Wait a second, right? What does this mean? That's what I want to know. The two ID numbers are identical. In other words, the detective killed in the police department's evidence room was Bruce Goodman. What does our witness think about that? Oh, sharp as a tack, Righto. Sharp as a tack. But wait, Detective Goodman is our victim. He was killed at 5:15 in the underground parking lot. Yet, a Detective Bruce Goodman was also killed at the police department. In the evidence room at the exact same time. That's impossible. So what we're saying is, the same person was killed at the same time, and in a completely different location. Don Paolo was killed? No! No! What I want to know is, why didn't I hear about this? Yes, it's top secret, fine, but I'm the prosecutor in charge of the case. Now, just wait a second, Worthy. No need to get all flustered. Your Honor, the police department has made a grave error in this case. Wait. I said wait. Or didn't you hear me? The oversight, the grave error, Mr. Edgeworth, they're yours. What? How dare? We informed you yesterday. I believe it was our Officer Meekins who brought you the news. Officer Meekins?
Mr. Wright, where have we heard that name before? Wait, aha! Excuse me, but is Mr. Edgeworth, anywhere on the premises? I'm here, sir, at the request of the chief, sir. I've got your report, sir.
You don't mean him? According to Meekins, you didn't accept the report. Hard to believe. But your officer, he told me. He said that report had nothing to do with the Lana Sky incident. Meekins be like, Meekins. Detective Bruce Goodman murdered in the police department evidence room. Mr. Edgeworth, the victim's name is written right on top of the report. Why didn't your officer tell me?
Honestly, I'm not sure if that officer was capable of making the connection. He did seem challenged.
In any case, this is a serious error, a gross negligence of duty on your part, Worthy. But, sir, you could have submitted that report this morning to the court as evidence. Then My God, are you just gonna stare at me like this? No such luck this time, Worthy. Or should I say, unworthy. What? Now, what was the second rule of evidence law,
Well, Mr. Wright?
Huh? Oh, well, it's, Rule number 2. Unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. And how is this rule relevant? Normally, you submit a list of evidence to be used in court before the trial. This report wasn't on that list. So, what does this mean? I couldn't submit this evidence until a connection was proven in court. The connection was just proven by Righto over here. Good job, Righto, my boy. Huh? I was just doing my job. No. No! It seems we have come to the end of this trial. I know you're going through a tough time, Worthy. What with all those rumors? You were even in the defendant's chair just this past December. I apologize for this terrible lack of due diligence on my part. Mr. Edgeworth, please, just give me one day. I'll get to the bottom of what happened, if it's the last thing I do. You'd better get results this time. Really. You have my profound apologies, sir.
Poor Mr. Edgeworth.
I don't think there's ever been an error this serious in the history of this court. I will grant one further day as the prosecution has requested. Will that be sufficient, Mr. Edgeworth? Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. Whatever your punishment for this is, for your sake I hope it's not decisive. Very well, court is adjourned. Okay, so that's the end of the first pair of investigation and trial sequences. So now we have an extra day, so now we get to spend that investigating.
Mr. Wright, so what's going on with the case anyway? I'm a little confused.
Huh? Well, let's see. What is going on? The victim, Detective Bruce Goodman, was stabbed to death after 5 p.m. on the 21st. He died in the prosecutor's parking lot, and the police department's evidence room.
What's this "and the evidence room" part? The prosecutor's office and the police department are 30 minutes apart by car.
Well, that's what we're going to find out. Or try to, at least.
Alright, let's do it.
Glad she's in good spirits, but I'm not sure she's going to be much help with this.
Don't be so sure, Mr. Wright.
Huh?
Look, we're in this together, right? I'll prove that those thick-rimmed glasses of mine aren't just for show. Let's go. Science awaits us.
Ooh, science. Give it up for science.
You know, I really don't think we should worry about the police department murder. There wasn't even a body found there. Who cares?
Yeah, it was only our victim who was killed in their evidence room. No biggie.
Besides, my sister would never do such a thing. I know it.
That oil drum. Was it empty? The oil drum kicked over by the chief prosecutor was brimming with water.
Someone died. Who cares? My sister erasing evidence at the crime scene? Never!
Even though she says they don't get along, Emma really likes her sister.
That's not it at all! It's just... we're both professionals at what we do, and I trust her.
Big words for a high school student. Well, whether there was blood on the floor or not, the water in that oil drum washed it all away.
Ignore the strength of my science at your own peril, Mr. Wright.
Huh? What's that grin for?
This situation calls for one thing, and that is luminol testing fluid.
Luminol?
Blood is sticky stuff, you know. You can't just wash it away with a little water. Even if you can't see it, it's still there.
But wouldn't the police have already done those tests?
Never trust anyone's eyes but your own, Mr. Wright. Just give it a try.
Me? Why do I have to do it?
I'm a minor. I can't even drink yet.
We're testing bloodstains with this stuff, not drinking it.
Here, look. I'll lend you these glasses.
Huh? You had an extra pair of those things? Oh yes, Phoenix with the luminol shades. What will he see?
To test for a blood reaction, just spray the luminol on it. Like this, see? Press
Enter.
to spray it on. Okay, let's find us some bloodstains,
She said eagerly. Okay. Oh, we got something over here. I can see her eyes shining behind those glasses. Man, that girl really loves blood. So, is this a bloodstain?
It's so... ugh.
Emma, you're shaking.
It's just... this is my first time seeing real blood.
Scientific investigation in action.
Okay, well, we definitely know that this is a bloodstain. But doesn't something strike you as odd? Scientifically speaking, of course.
What's odd about this, scientifically? That's very little blood for someone who was killed right here, supposedly. The perpetrator and Detective Goodman fought here, right? Don't you think there'd be a little more blood?
I definitely think so. I mean, look at all the blood on the sole of the victim's shoe.
It is pretty strange. If they fought here, there'd have to have been more blood than this.
Hey, Mr. Wright. I'm gonna mark up the floor plans when we find a bloodstain, okay? See? I'm pretty handy to have around, right?
Yeah, and this stuff's pretty handy too.
I saved up my allowance to buy that.
Luminol testing fluid received from one very proud-looking Emma Sky. Alright, solution used for scientific investigation, finds blood traces, spray to use.
We can't be sure that the police will reveal all their evidence in court. Sometimes they fail to mention evidence that doesn't fit with their view of the case.
Then let's drag that hidden evidence out into the light of day.
Yeah! It feels like we're really investigating a crime now, doesn't it?
Guess I should give this a spray on anything suspicious. Ha! I wonder how that fluid of yours would react to a nice deli box.
Miss Starr!
You only trust your own eyes, hmm? Not bad, you two. This day-old deli box is on the house. Sorry, it's just... that kind of lead-in doesn't really get my mouth watering. You certainly put me in a tight spot today. My apologies, Miss Starr, but... No, it's okay. It was my fault.
Oh, we know.
I witnessed everything from that security room right there. But I was afraid that wouldn't sound convincing enough, you see. I was wrong to think that. I'm sorry.
Sorry? You lied on the witness stand! That's unforgivable!
Little girl, don't forget what's important here. Even if the place I witnessed the events from was different, I still saw what I saw. I saw Chief Prosecutor Sky stab a man in cold blood, and that testimony still stands. I swear it on my honor as a detective. She stabbed Goodman. I know this photograph has something important to tell us. But what?
So, you were a detective, weren't you, Miss Starr?
Yes. It was a long time ago. Well, 2 years ago. No matter how hardened the criminal, when they faced me, they coughed it up. Coughed it up? They confessed. They babbled like babies. You know, I may seem like a demon sometimes,
But I can be an angel, too. I wouldn't doubt it. See, Mr. Wright, I can be your devil or your angel. Every day I drag the dirt out of the mouths of suspect after suspect. And before long, they called me the Cough-Up Queen. Oh, and here I thought someone had gotten food poisoning from one of your lunches. And you were let go? Fired? I felt that I had found my dream job when I became an investigator. And if these prim and proper prosecutors hadn't let me go, I'd still be one today. It's all because of that case. The SL9 incident. SL9? Wait, she doesn't mean... Okay, I guess I gotta show her evidence to get her talking about SL9.
What do you think about this?
The SL9 incident. It's written on that knife. And on that note. Goodman. Goodman was the head detective on that case, you know.
Really?
And that knife was evidence from that case. The murder weapon. It was due for transferal the very day that Goodman was killed. As I suspected, SL9 isn't over. Not yet. Do you think you could tell us more about the SL9 incident? Oh, she's not talking yet. Okay. So tell me more about Goodman then. I had one of those up until 2 years ago.
Back when you were the cough-up queen, right?
We found this ID card here in this parking lot. Well, there's no mistaking that. It's definitely Goodman's. But it's the same ID as the man who was killed at the police department. That's impossible. I wish I could be so sure. If you think about it, I could have taken that picture from the guard room. But even I get flustered sometimes. So, you went straight to the scene of the crime? I rushed towards the chain link fence in an effort to stop the murder. That's when I took this photo, yes.
In other words, 5 minutes after the crime?
Those 5 minutes are the whole problem. The hole in my testimony, as it were.
The 5 minutes weren't the problem, Miss Starr. You lying was the problem.
Listen, little girl. I've had my testimony disregarded before. And I wasn't going to have it disregarded again. Just like that time. That time? Ah, so now she'll talk about the SL9 incident. That incident really opened up my eyes to the truth. We're nothing to them. Disposable.
Disposable? To who?
2 years ago, it was the biggest case I'd ever handled. The police and the prosecutors were desperate for decisive evidence. So, they didn't solve it? On the contrary, it was solved quite cleanly. The criminal was caught and executed. Executed? Yes, the criminal got what was coming to him. Doesn't get any cleaner than that. The only problem was, they never did find decisive evidence. Not a shred. What? But the criminal was executed, right? On the basis of evidence, of a sort. Made up evidence.
What? You mean they executed someone with fabricated evidence?
The best part came several months after the trial. Every detective involved in the case was dealt with. Some were demoted to patrolmen, others found themselves out of a job.
And you were one of those?
Myself and one other person you know well. Wait, could it be? Exactly. Detective Jake Marshall. Oops, I mean, Police Department Security Detail Officer Jake Marshall. As professional detectives, we investigated that case from every angle. And Jake was particularly determined. And then it was over, and he was demoted. However, he hasn't forgotten, and neither have I. You haven't forgotten SL9. There was another side to that case, a hidden side. That's what we're after now. And no one up in their fancy offices can stop us.
Wait! Those lunches you sell.
And there's only one reason I come to sell lunches in this accursed office. I come here to meet old friends. Boyfriends that can help me investigate. Miss Star's old boyfriends. How many does she have, anyway? Just when all the detectives on SL9 have disappeared, we find new evidence.
There has to be a connection.
So, Rookie. What? It seems like you're serious about investigating this case. Kara, I'm so sorry you did miss Orange Power Man. He might make a reappearance before this section is up, though. Yes. Then you should take this. Salisbury steak lunch? I know a certain guy who might help you if you tempt him with this treat. Steak lunch received from Miss Star. Alright, received from Miss Star. Excellent for putting Officer Marshall in a good mood.
Miss Star? Officer Marshall, is he your... are you his... Are you going out?
Oh, why do you want to know?
I was just wondering what happened to him. A long time ago, when he was helping my sister do cases, he was so nice. He got along so well with my sister, it made me jealous. And he was nice to me too back then.
This would be when Officer Marshall was a detective.
But now he's so cold.
Jake and I are merely cooperating on this investigation. We're putting the past to rest, as it were. Nothing more than that.
I see. Thank you.
Officer Jake Marshall. Guess we gotta go talk to him next. I bet he would be at the police department. God, I hope my friend Gumshoe is here. It's even busier here today than it was yesterday.
The detectives are running around so fast they're blurring.
I suppose it makes sense. A detective did get killed here, after all.
So, the evidence room. The scene of the crime. According to the pamphlet we got at the front desk, here it is.
She's like a kid in an amusement park.
Ooh, a real crime scene. Let's go take a look.
Gee, I wonder if Jake Marshall lives here. Christ, dude. What's with the decor in this place? It's very eccentric.
According to the pamphlet, this is the guard station for the evidence room.
So, beyond that door is the evidence room. The scene of the crime?
It sure seems that way. Oh.
What's wrong?
It's those cacti! They're so prickly, so imposing. It's hard to think straight.
If you can't handle the cacti, stay out of the desert. What I want to know is, if there is a guard station, where's the guard?
I have a feeling I know who he is already. Yipes, these sure are prickly. They must be the real deal.
What I want to know is, where's the caveman? I would think just one big one would be sufficient.
These cacti are a lot like my sister, actually.
How so?
Encased in a cold, rigid shell, with spines pointing in every direction. Just like her.
I'm not so sure I see the resemblance.
It's more an attitude thing than a physical similarity.
Let's see, if there's no guard here, can I get in here? The evidence room is beyond that door. Yeah, you can make Luke poke a cactus outside of Dalston's mansion.
Let's just walk in. It won't open.
You thought it'd be open? I think we need someone's permission to go in there first. Let's see. Can I play with the luminol in here? Wait, this well, it was Miracle Mask related, of course I remember it. There's blood on top of the cactus! Wow! We got a reaction! Huh. There's clearly blood around the spines here. This room's pretty messy. Someone must have tripped over something. And planted their head right in these spines! Yeah, their head.
I think that might be more painful than being murdered.
Okay, no blood elsewhere. Okay, all the rest of the cactuses are safe to touch then. Okay... Maybe Gumshoe will let us in? This place is charged with frantic energy, as always. Please!
Huh? Wasn't that...
One steak lunch, please! Oh, it's you. Detective Gumshoe! Now's no time for chit-chat, pal. I'm a busy man. What I really need is a steak lunch from Lunchland.
Oh, you mean one of these? Actually, it's not for sale.
Why are you teasing him, Emma? I think I just heard the sound of his heart breaking. No, Gummy, no. Now's no time for despair. We've caught our criminal. Now we just need evidence. The criminal? You mean... Gumshoe steak edging. Whoa! What the fuck? You heard about the stabbing in the police department evidence room, right, pal? On the same day the detective was killed in the prosecutor's parking lot, another detective was killed at the police department? And the perpetrator? Do you have a suspect? Well, there was a suspect. Just arrested him, in fact. It's the biggest scandal to hit the station in ages. Everything's topsy-turvy. But Detective Gumshoe, who was it? Listen, pal, all I know is I need me a steak lunch, pronto. Standing around here talking isn't gonna fill my belly. And he's gone before I can ask him.
Well, wait! Don't leave!
If you want to know more, head on down to the detention center, pal. Questioning should be over, so I figure he's down there having a good cry. Later! Later, skater.
He ran off to the evidence room.
Well, this investigation is off to a running start. The detention center. Okay, I guess we go to the detention center now.
Still, I do feel better about things. A little. I mean, they caught the person who stabbed Detective Goodman, didn't they?
Yeah, I guess they did. Best not to go too far down that road right now. Things will just get confusing. Ween? Oh my god, Ween's here?
What was that?
Sir, that's what I'm saying. Me, a perpetrator? I'd say I was the perpetrator again, sir. That's what I'd say. Meekins? Hi. Greetings, sir.
Wait, I know who you are.
Excuse me, but is Mr. Edgeworth anywhere on the premises? I'm here, sir, at the request of the chief, sir. I've got your report, sir.
Officer Meekins! So you're a guard here at the detention center?
No, sir, I'm not, sir. I'm a little lost patrolman, like a winnow lost lamb, sir.
Oh, I get it. You're here to deliver a report?
No, sir, how should I say this?
Wait, he isn't... Is he? You... Officer Meekins... You didn't... Did you?
Perpetrator Officer Meekins reporting, sir!
What?
Now this is an unexpected turn of events.
Sir! I'm a patrolman with General Affairs, sir! Sir!
Ow! I can hear you fine, Officer Meekins.
I had some business that day, sir, and so I went to the evidence room, sir. The guard station in front of the room was empty, sir.
So normally there's a guard at the evidence room?
That's right, sir, because evidence is kept in the evidence room, sir. Now, the security officer was none other than Officer Marshall.
Big surprise. Marshall?
Then, sir, I happened to glance at the security room monitor. That's when I saw him, sir. A suspicious person in the evidence room. A suspicious person, sir. A suspicious person. Yo! What the fuck?
What the heck is this guy doing?
So what happened then?
After that, sir, everything went white. I saw red. I blacked out. And when I came to, I was here, in the detention center.
How long were you out? Days?
Might I ask, what happened to your hand?
Sir, there was no one to bandage me, sir. So I did what I could to wrap it up, sir.
A bandage on his hand. Just like Miss Sky.
Yet another similarity between this case and the one at the prosecutor's office.
First things first. Tell us how you hurt your hand. I don't mean to pry, but you are the perpetrator, correct? You killed Detective Bruce Goodman in the evidence room, right?
Sir, please don't look at me with those sad puppy dog eyes, sir. If you have to label me as perpetrator or victim, sir, then label me victim.
I would, but you happen to be in detention. And alive and well at that.
Buenos dias, Cactus. Yes, well, that's true, sir. I suppose you could say that.
Did you know the victim, Detective Goodman?
Well, sir, if I had to label him as a stranger or a total stranger, then I'd say he leans heavily on the total stranger side.
So, you didn't know him?
Sir, I work in a tiny department devoid of light or other creature comforts. I don't know any detectives.
So, if he was a total stranger, why did you stab him?
Sir, I had no intention of killing him, sir. None. Nor do I have any recollection of killing him, sir.
At least someone around here is more confused than I am. So what happened to your hand? About your hand. Did that happen during the course of the crime?
Well, you see, sir,
Don't you think you should just confess?
But, sir, but there was nothing I could do. Nothing you can do? Sir, to tell the truth, sir, when it happened, when the detective pointed that knife at me, I just hollered, sir. And the next thing I knew, I was unconscious. The next thing you knew, you were... Huh? Then when I opened my eyes, I was alone in the evidence room, sir. All alone. Alone because Detective Goodman had disappeared. What? Then when I looked down, I was gushing blood from my hand, sir. Oh, the shock! Oh, the sorrow, sir! Can you imagine how I felt? The victim's body disappeared?
That's some story.
Okay, so what else can I show you to get you to talk? Probably Goodman's ID.
Do you think you could take a look at this?
Hey! That's it, sir! That's it! That's it!
That's what?
My head was a blank until this very moment! But, sir, now I remember! I remember, sir! You mean you remember what happened? Correct! That card was the cause of it all!
This ID card?
Exactly, sir! That's exactly it! Nothing could be more exact, sir! Nothing! I'd better pry into this one a little deeper. Can you tell me what it is you do remember? Well, sir, you might say I'm a widow-washed patrolman. A washed widow wham, if you will. No, I will not. I didn't know Mr. Detective Goodman who was in the evidence room. And that's why you thought he looked suspicious. Sir, I entered the evidence room and asked the man to show me his ID card.
Well, that sounds pretty much by the book so far.
That's right, sir! That's what I've been trying to tell you! So you asked Detective Goodman to show his ID card. What did he do? That's the thing! Suddenly he pointed a knife at me!
What?
Sir, I assure you, I was as flustered as you are right now! So I whooped and leapt at him! Detective Goodman pointed a knife at him? Do unto others before they do unto you! My own father's word, sir!
What happened then?
Well, my eyes, sir. Everything went white. When I awoke, I was here. Right.
So, Officer Meekins, why was it that they arrested you?
What do you mean, Emma?
Let's look at what we know.
Meekins has become Catholic.
Now, Officer Meekins didn't know Detective Goodman, and the victim whom he met at the scene of the crime didn't show his ID card.
In other words, we have no way of knowing if the victim really was we have no way of knowing if the victim was really the victim.
And if this body just disappeared from the evidence room, we don't even know if anyone actually died.
That's it, sir! That's what I wanted to say! That is, I did say something along those lines.
Huh? But you still ended up here?
Wait, if Don Paolo was Goodman and he was also Meekins, and Goodman is dead and Meekins is alive and accused of killing Goodman who's driving the airplane, I don't know, we're about to fucking crash. They told me that it had to be him, sir. On that day, at that time, Detective Goodman was definitely in the evidence room. That's what they said. But you don't remember the events clearly? No, but the videotape is quite clear.
Huh? Videotape?
From the security camera. The crime, my crime, the crime I swore to stamp out. It's there, it's me, it's on tape.
And you waited until now to tell us this?
I'm sorry, really sorry, sir. I'll hand over my badge. I don't deserve it. No thanks, I have my own. Well, guess we'd better go check out the crime scene. Okay, so back to criminal affairs.
Hey, Mr. Wright! Look who's standing at the Chief of Detectives' desk.
It's Police Chief Gant. And his splendiferous titties. And you're sure this is all, hmm? You know what it means if there's anything missing. Sir, I'm sure it's most likely totally perfect. We checked all of his drawers, lockers, garbage cans, bags, coat pockets, hats. Under his seat cushion, behind his computer monitor, inside his personal coffee machine. I see. Well, if anything does turn up, you call me right away. Deal? Hey, Susie, replace the ant and Gant. No, wait, hang on a minute. Replace the ant and Gant with us, and replace the G with S. I don't know what that says. Can you tell me? Yes, sir. We'll scour the place again, sir. The Chief of Detectives looks a little flustered. Sus. Righto, my boy. How you been? Swim much? Oh, Chief Gant! Reporting for duty, sir.
Why are you saluting him, Mr. Wright? Among Us in real life.
Is Edgeworth going to be okay? Oh, Worthy? Oh, you know, they're doing a little inquiry committee with him.
Sounds like an inquisition.
Yeah, well, they've had no end of trouble with the boy since last year. You mean the incident on Gourd Lake? It doesn't look good having a top prosecutor sit in the defendant's seat, does it? And you! You got someone else found guilty in that case. Right, righto? Von Karma. A legend he was. Undefeated in his 40-year career. But in court, you fixed it, so he was caught for forging evidence. Wait, I didn't do anything wrong. He did forge evidence. In any case, the prosecutor's office is in a bit of a turmoil, you might say. Why, they'd do just about anything to restore their reputation. Now, depending on what that inquiry committee decides, it could be bad for Worthy.
What? What?
It's downright odd, I tell you. The detective getting killed on their turf, too, I mean. They're being the prosecutors, I assume?
Scientifically speaking, it's impossible.
Yes, but that's what the evidence is saying. Goodman was stabbed in 2 locations at the same time. That's what it says. What evidence is this? Now, righto. I can't give away all our secrets just like that. And this in particular, well, it's a little sensitive, and I can't talk about it. Well, I wasn't expecting much anyway. You know, one thing I hate most of all is hiding stuff. Secrets. Can't stand them. But you know, it's a full-time job just keeping the Chief Detective's trap shut.
Ah, he was the one you were picking on earlier?
Huh? Oh, you saw that? Whoops! I wonder what it was that he wanted the Chief of Detectives to do.
Let's see if we can kind of discreetly ask him.
Oh, hello. Oh, sorry you had to see that.
What exactly did the chief of police want you to do?
Well, see over there? That's Goodman's desk. He wanted me to check it for anything that might be a clue. They took away every last piece of garbage in the trash can.
So, nothing belonging to Detective Goodman is still here?
Of course not. Well, except for this.
What? You kept something?
Sure, why not? It's not important. He didn't even finish writing it. It's a lost item report, but it's only half complete.
A lost item? Did Detective Goodman lose something?
The date on it is February 21st. Better make a note of that just in case. Okay, so now we have Goodman's lost item report. A half-written document dated February 21st can only be submitted to the chief of police. I should really get back to investigating the police department crime scene. Actually, I was wondering if I could ask you a favor? Well, I never thought the day would come when Raito would ask me for help. I was wondering if we could investigate the evidence room? Now, Raito. Actually, I'm sorry, I don't need to investigate at all. Raito, please. Do I look like a selfish man? Huh? Heck, if anyone asked me, "Sir, can I borrow $50?" I'd give them $50, no problem. So, go ahead. Investigate that room to your heart's content. Knock yourself out.
It just goes to show, you never know until you ask.
And for you here, you can borrow this.
Huh? Hey! This is a detective's ID card, isn't it?
That's a special card for guests, so don't lose it.
Yes, sir. It's an honor.
You just run along and do your best now. Later, folks.
It looks pretty cool on my lapel, doesn't it? Just think, a real ID.
You seem happy.
Yes, sir. Because, sir, we get to go into the evidence room now, sir.
I think this place is a bad influence on the girl. Yeah, okay, get Emma away from the cops. Got it. The evidence room is beyond that door.
And we have the ID card from Chief Gant. Let's just walk in. It won't open.
Aha! The card reader is turned off, see?
What is that security guard thinking?
Howdy, partners. Well, well, what's made my Bambino skies so gray? Officer Marshall! Why does it have to be him? What's that why does it have to be him look for? As you may have surmised, this here's my saloon.
We're here to investigate the crime scene.
Yeehaw! That card you got there on your chest. That's better than a sheriff's badge in these parts.
Yeehaw?
Well, what you standing there for? Get along, little doggies. Crime scene's a-waitin'. Looks like the card reader's on again. While we're here, I was wondering if we could ask you some questions. Sorry, cowboy, but I got no mind to tangle with you hombres. You're busy, then? Did I say that? I only said I didn't wish to speak with you. Actually, you said you had no mind to tangle with us hombres. But I bet if I give you a delicious steak lunch, your lips will loosen up there. That smell. Reminds me of Texas. Which I've never been to, this is just how I imagine it smells.
So, Officer Marshall, You're from Texas?
No, I just saw a special on television the other day. Is this from my baby?
Yeah, Miss Star.
What's this?
What? What's wrong?
A filet steak lunch. I see.
I don't see. I wonder what it means.
Steak lunch given to Officer Marshall. Alright, Bambina. You win. Ask munch anything smack. Finally, it seems like
he's willing to talk. Officer Marshall, you're in charge of security for the evidence room, right?
You got good eyes, partner. It's an easy job, and I'm grateful for it. Actually, Officer Meekins at the detention center told us. That poor little doggy? Poor guy. I keep getting his name wrong and calling him Meekly. He told us something. He said that when the stabbing occurred, you weren't at your station. Well, maybe I shouldn't be telling you this. But since I got demoted from detective 2 years ago, well, it might not look it, but I lost my fire for the job, you know?
So, what were you doing around 5:15 when the murder took place?
Well, I reckon I was galloping down the highway on the back of my steed, Zippy.
No, he was riding down the highway on his horse named Zippy.
There's no need for people here, anyhow. These newfangled machines do a bang-up job of keeping an eye on the place. You mean the security camera system? I don't take to machines much. Kinda like that stewed broccoli they sneak in next to your steak, you know?
Miss Star told us something. She said that you were a detective until 2 years ago.
It was always my dream to be a rawhide wrangler on the scene of the crime. That's all gone now. Like a drinking hole in a prairie fire.
You're still investigating the SL9 incident with Miss Star, aren't you?
That was my case. It's all solved on the record books, but it smells like a bad game of poker. I can't let it go. That's all there is to it.
What kind of case was it, anyway? We've heard the name so many times, but no one tells us what actually happened.
There are some things you're better off not knowing, Bambina. Anyway, that case is officially dead as of 2 days ago. 2 days ago? The day of our case. That's right. The evidence transferals. Edgeworth was talking about the transferals, too. I know what maybe 2 of the machines in here do.
Only 2 of them? There must be a dozen!
Like I said, Bambina, me and machines, well, I like them about as much as I like stewed cauliflower with my steaks. The easiest ones to understand are these here security cameras. Those are the ones that Officer Meekins mentioned. If nothing happens, the tapes are automatically erased every few hours.
And Officer Meekins and Detective Goodman, are they on one of those tapes?
I reckon they might be. You're the security guard and you reckon? One more thing. When you go into the evidence room, you need an ID card. Thus the card reader by the door. The card reader leaves a record of every ID card that passes through. So this is the ID card record.
Hey! I've seen that somewhere before!
Sorry, Bambina. I can't show you more than that.
Huh?
I haven't heard whether this is related to the case yet.
Mr. Wright, I saw a number on that record just now! I've seen that number before!
Maybe there's some way I can prove that record is tied to the stabbing. But first, let's talk to him about the transferal. Sorry, but could you explain what this whole transferal thing is about? We keep only evidence from solved cases in that room. They're kept here under the presiding detective's supervision for 2 years. So we can reinvestigate them if it turns out there was a mistake, see? So, what happens to the evidence after 2 years? It goes to sleep forever in the underground vault at the county sheriff's department. That's what we call transferal. We do it every February.
I see now.
The transferal is like a funeral for old cases. 2 years after a case is solved. Alright, good night, Bunny. Thanks for coming by. 2 years after a case is solved, it's closed forever. Dead. Never to be reopened again. Never to be reinvestigated. And that happened to SL9 2 days ago. So, if I show you Goodman's ID, then I'll be able to look at the record again.
See? This is the victim's ID card.
Ah, the one that was on the ground in the parking lot? The number on this is 584-2189.
Officer Marshall, show us that ID card record again. Look, the 4th number. It's a perfect match.
It was used at 5:14, right before the stabbing. Well, what's more, there's only one of them cards in the world.
So, when the incident occurred, Detective Goodman was in the evidence room.
But wait, what did Officer Meekins say? Sir, I entered the evidence room and asked the man to display his ID card. So you asked Detective Goodman to show his ID card. What did he do? That's the thing! Suddenly he pointed a knife at me! If he had his ID card then, why would he have pointed a knife at Officer Meekins? Alright, compadre. You win. I guess I can give you this ID card record. Alright, ID card record. IDs of all who entered the evidence room on 2/21, or February 21st. I've got an idea. Maybe I should show this list to other people with IDs here. Like Gumshoe, I hope. Who is in the evidence room, I believe. Alright, February 23rd, evidence room, Sector 3. It's quiet. The investigation must be over here.
So this is the evidence room? It really is kind of like a graveyard.
Graveyards are supposed to have grass and trees. This feels more like a morgue.
Nice try, Mr. Wright. You can't scare me.
Gummy! Whoa!
Sorry, I thought you were a ghost.
I wouldn't recommend going around smacking ghosts on the head, pal. So, is it true what I heard? Righto, please. Do I look like a selfish man? Heck, if anyone asked me, sir, can I borrow $50, I'd give them $50, no problem. So go ahead, investigate that room to your heart's desire. Knock yourself out. Yeah, it's true. So, Chief of Police Gant will loan anyone $50? Even me? Oh, Jesus, dude.
Oh, so that's what you were talking about.
Actually, I was put in charge of the investigation for today. Just for today?
Boss for a day.
But guess what? You got permission from the chief. So now, you're boss for a day. Gee, thanks. First of all, you'll want to have this. Okay, evidence room. Scene of the stabbing of a detective at the PD.
So, Detective Gumshoe, your boss for the day?
That's right. It's an honor. After all, the murder took place right here in the police department.
But if you're boss, why are you all alone? Where are your underlings?
They're using yesterday's findings to prepare for tomorrow's trial. In other words, you got kicked out of the investigation. Again. I'm adamant, though. I'm going to take control and put this case to rest. Oh, wait. Did you say you're adamantium? You got an adamantium skeleton like my boyfriend Wolverine? In my own evidence locker, pal! You have a locker in here too, detective? Of course! I am a detective, after all. They gave me a locker that only I can open, pal.
Only you can open?
Weapon G? This place is more high-tech than you might think. Every locker is fixed so that only one detective can open it. Using their ID card? Well, that's the thing, pal. ID cards can be lost. Why, I'm on my 3rd card since entering the force already.
That sounds like a lot.
Yeah, but even I can't lose my own right hand.
Right hand? Oh, you mean your fingerprint?
Exactly, pal. The lock for each locker is coded with a fingerprint. So the only locker we can open is our own.
Funny, they look like normal lockers.
These are the latest model. There's a trick to the handles, see?
The handles?
On the other side of the handles is a sensor, and if the wrong person touches it...
Zap! You get a shock!
If that's what happened, my hand would be black and smoking every day. In any case, the locks aren't that obvious. There are even some people in the force that don't know about the fingerprint locks. Okay, evidence locker. Only the assigned detective's prints can unlock it. Indicator lamp lights up when it's open. I'll always believe in Mr. Edgeworth, no matter what happens.
So, Mr. Edgeworth is with the inquiry committee now, right?
Yeah, they're trying to figure out who's responsible for the mess-up in the court today. I see. I guess this is what you call fate. Mr. Edgeworth just can't get away from that case. That case? Yeah, that case! The SL9 incident, of course. That was the beginning of the end for Mr. Edgeworth. Maybe we can get him to tell us more about the case. Which means I have to show you the note again, probably. Detective Goodman's note, and that switchblade knife. I bet Edgeworth was the most surprised of anyone. Because of the SL9 connection? That was Mr. Edgeworth's first big case, you know, 2 years ago. That was the first time the world knew Edgeworth was a man to be feared. But why would evidence from that case turn up now? I guess it's not over, pal. Maybe there are some loose ends left on that case. Now, that was a bloody, violent case. Violent? So it was a murder? A serial killing? A serial killing? Maybe I don't want to get involved in this after all. But the killer made a mistake, and Mr. Edgeworth built his case around that to nab him.
And this was 2 years ago?
That put Mr. Edgeworth right in the spotlight, and started the rumor mill. Rumors about forged evidence? It was supposed to be all cleaned up with the transferal the other day. It was the last job he ever did. Detective Goodman, that is.
Huh? What do you mean?
Detective Goodman was the detective in charge of the SL9 incident, see?
So, that switchblade knife.
The victim took the knife out of the evidence locker himself? Sorry, because I know he was here. Could you take a look at this?
This is the ID card record of the people who came in here on the day of the stabbing. Ah, I heard the rumors. So it was Goodman who came in here at the time of the murder. Whoa!
But what is it?
That second number. It's not your ID number, is it, Detective Gumshoe? Mr. Edgeworth!
What?
The second number on this list belongs to Mr. Edgeworth.
What? What?
Okay, so the ID card record has been updated. Why would Edgeworth have come to the evidence room? So... well, let's examine this room here.
Someone left a glove here, but only one.
Detective Gumshoe, maybe? There you go, pal, making me out to be some kind of absent-minded detective. That's evidence from the case, you know. You mean SL9? It does have a tag on it. Rubber glove added to the court record. Tagged evidence from the SL9 incident. Extremely thin rubber glove.
Wow, someone must have broken something big to make all these pieces.
Detective Gumshoe, perhaps? There you go, pal, making me out to be some kind of hooligan. That's apparently from the case.
The case?
The SL9 incident, pal. See the sticker on one of the pieces there? Another piece of SL9 evidence. I wonder what shape these pieces were in before whatever it was broke.
You want to try to put it back together?
Ha! Good luck, pal. That's no job for amateurs. Why, I spent a good 3 hours on that before I had to give up.
That's why I always carry around a tube of glue.
Well, this piece looks like the bottom. Let's try putting the rest in place. Oh, puzzle time! Puzzle time! Oh my god, what? Oh my god, what? I don't remember doing this crap! So I need something to fit into this red line right here. That looks like it. Okay. And then this big piece.
Damn. This is a little bit frustrating.
Okay, I think I know what piece. Yeah, there we go. So who goes down there? You? No, it's you. Is it actually that one? Can't be that guy.
But we're missing a piece. Tricky.
Huh? Well, I think we did it, but some of the pieces are missing.
Yeah, I got that far too in 2 minutes myself. The problem is finishing it.
Were some pieces stolen?
I bet they were missing to begin with. Still, it doesn't look like the most stable kind of jar.
I kind of understand how it got broken.
Okay, unstable jar added to the court record. Jar pieced back together from fragments found at the crime scene. A piece is missing. Oh, hang on a minute. What is this? What's this? Blood!
It's a little worn, but there's definitely a handprint here.
It looks like someone tried to wipe it off.
Mr. Wright, what if there are other bloodstains left in the room?
We should use her testing fluid to check it out. Okay. Luminol time.
I knew it! This is someone's right handprint.
What? What's the matter, Detective? This locker! It's mine!
It's yours?
Please! You have to help me! When they come to take me away! Promise you'll testify that I wouldn't harm a fly! You'll do that for me, won't you, pals?
Well, of course we would, Gummy.
This is an important clue. I'll jot it down on the floor plans. I'm counting on you guys! Believe me, you can't trust the police!
What? But you're a detective!
That doesn't mean I can't say ACAB. Other blood around here? Ooh, there's something.
Huh? Why am I getting a reaction here?
There's no reason for the murderer to touch this spot if he fled out the door. This just might be something significant. Hey! That's some pretty amazing stuff you got there, pal!
What, this? It's called luminol testing fluid.
Where'd you get your hands on that?
Huh?
I'd like to get some too! I'll just borrow $50 from the chief. Where did you get this, Emma?
I always buy it by mail order.
Well, I'd better jot this down on the floor plans. Oh shit, how did I miss that? That's a lot of blood! Oh, this must be Goodman's missing blood. That must have been one massive pool of blood. Never seen anything like it. I'm not a professional. What's your opinion, Detective? Pale blue blood. That must mean it was Vriska, right? Maybe Detective Goodman was actually a Homestuck troll?
This proves that something really did happen in front of this locker.
I'll make a note of it on the floor plans. Hey! If you don't want my opinion, you shouldn't have asked! Hey, pal, look at the time! Was there something you needed to be going to? It's just that Mr. Edgeworth's inquiry committee should be letting out soon. I'm gonna go give them my report for the day. It might help, you know.
Report? You mean the note written on the back of that flyer?
The one that says nothing but no problems? Hey, it's Mr. Edgeworth we're talking about. I'm sure he can use a report like this. I believe in him. Who needs enemies when you've got friends like Detective Gumshoe? I'm off, pal. Later. Later, haters. I should probably see what Edgeworth has to say, too. Yay! High Prosecutor's Office time! We can go look at Edgeworth's Steel Samurai figurine again. You! Ah, guests! My apologies. Oh, it's you. Have we met somewhere? Huh? Mr. Edgeworth, I beg your leave. So long. Is Edgeworth here?
There, sitting by the window, a teacup in his hand.
Right. He has the hotel bring him tea service?
Mr. Edgeworth, you're back from the district prosecutor's office inquiry?
I am. By the way, Detective Gumshoe was looking for you. Ah, yes. He brought me the latest information, it seems.
Really? Was it helpful?
Apparently, a new French restaurant is opening near here. I think he was trying to console me somehow. The real info is on the other side, Edgeworth.
Poor Mr. Edgeworth. I think this whole thing is really taking a toll on him.
So, how did the inquiry committee go? Actually, they decided to treat this not as a case of concealing evidence, but as a communications error during the investigation.
Concealing evidence?
Yes. Apparently there are some who believe that I concealed evidence. And they gave me a warning. You were lucky this time. Again. Again? I've heard them say that so many times. Ever since that case 2 years ago. Are you okay for the trial tomorrow? Well, I'm still the presiding prosecuting attorney. However... Something happened? They gave control of the investigation over to the police department.
The police department?
Yes. Any further investigation for this case will be directed by the Chief of Police Gant. I can do nothing but wait for his results. I... see. Why, I ask you? Why? All along, I've only done what I believe is right. I have nothing to be ashamed of. But still... wow, I've never seen him this out of sorts. Okay. Well, we know you were... or you're someone with your ID card was in the evidence room yesterday. Oh, right! I'd better check this now. As I was saying, What's this? A record of ID card usage. Edgeworth, you went into the evidence room that day, didn't you? Just before the incident occurred, no less. Yes, that's true.
Why, Mr. Edgeworth?
Please don't look at me like that. I was asked to go. By Chief Gant, no less.
The chief of police?
He wanted evidence for a case that wrapped up half a year ago. He told me he wanted to keep it here in the prosecutor's office. But it was solved, right? It would have to be if the evidence was already filed. The chief is never one to explain himself. In any case, on the day of the stabbings, I brought this back here.
Can I ask what kind of case it was?
I can't say. It really has nothing to do with the current case. Now I'm curious about this other case. I'd better make a note of it. Unrelated evidence screwdriver added to the court record. Evidence from a past case of Edgeworth's, brought back to his office by Gant's request. Stubborn as always. I told you this has nothing to do with the current case. Okay, but Will you talk about SL9 now? I know you. You've probably got a hold of some information already, right? It all has to do with that case you were on. The SL9 incident. And some dark suspicion you were wrapped up in. Those... Oh, I know... the flowers... I think they're gladiolas. That's just what the shape looks like to me. Either that or snapdragons. You are the man who revived the worst memory of my life. I figured I'd be telling you about this sooner or later. He must be talking about his father's murder in that elevator. Okay, Edgeworth. Why don't you tell me about it? Tell me the truth. The SL9 incident was a heinous serial killing case. The head of the investigation was the deputy chief of police at the time, Damon Gant. That wacky old coot was involved in the case 2 years ago too, then. He was a top officer, and it was my first time working with him. I was nervous.
Wow, you get nervous too, Mr. Edgeworth?
What I want to know is, why was a deputy chief of police on the investigation? In truth, I used slightly more extreme methods than normal. We were dealing with a vicious murderer. If I let him go, the blood would be on my hands. We won our guilty verdict, and the killer was executed. Wait, you didn't... Of course not! I didn't touch the evidence. Yes, I will do anything in my power to win a trial. However, I do have a code, and I follow it faithfully. By the way, Emma, the chief prosecutor wanted to know something.
My sister? What?
If you were still studying forensic science...
Huh? Yes, of course! Why, just today Mr. Wright and I were using this!
Luminol testing fluid, hmm? Well then, you might have use for this.
Aluminum powder for taking fingerprints!
It's been chemically treated for better adhesion.
For me? Are you sure? We are the enemy, you know.
I've got no say in today's investigation. Do as you will. Edgeworth, I'm really... No need to thank me. Here, take your powder and these fingerprint files for everyone involved. Thanks. How about giving these to Detective Gumshoe as well? Alright, we got a fingerprinting set! Recovers fingerprints from handprints for comparison with the fingerprint file. Which means we can go test that handprint in the evidence room now, I bet.
Well, let's get going. One last investigation.
Right. I do seem to remember seeing a suspicious handprint somewhere. Aw, Angel Star's gone. Our investigation turned up a suspicious handprint.
Here, in this blood on the detective's evidence locker.
Let's use the secret weapon we just borrowed.
Right, let's get started. First, choose a finger.
A finger?
Each finger leaves behind a slightly different imprint. So let's choose the finger that will have left behind the clearest print.
I really can't tell the difference at a glance.
Quit procrastinating and choose a finger!
That would be this guy right here.
Okay, now it's time to check for prints. Let me show you how it's done.
Emma's starting to get that sparkle in her eyes.
First, we sprinkle the aluminum powder around.
Huh? How do you do that?
With Enter, see?
Ah,
It looks like that did the trick.
The aluminum powder adheres completely to the print. Once the powder is well spread, just blow away the excess.
Huh? How do I do that? With E.
Exciting, I know. Imagine you're blowing out the candles on a birthday cake. See?
Wow. That looks like fun. Might take some getting used to, though.
It's fine. It won't go up your nose or anything. You just pour the powder on thick and blow away the extra. Those are the basics of fingerprinting, Mr. Wright.
I guess I'd better give it a try. Okay. So we just do this really thick, like, all over the place. And then we blow it away!
Ah, you did it! You found one! These are the basics of CQC, Mr. Wright.
But this looks nothing like a fingerprint.
Now that you mention it, I guess it doesn't.
What does it mean?
I think it means we're out of luck.
Out of luck?
The person who left this handprint must have worn gloves.
Don't tell me we've been wasting our time here!
Hey, calm down! That's just the way it goes sometimes with scientific investigations. But it does seem a shame. While we're at it, why don't we look for other prints?
Other prints?
Looking at the locker door again closely.
Oh, there's a little shadow.
It seems like there are fingerprints outside the bloody handprint as well. Let's see if we can find a clear print.
Fingerprints outside the blood. Alright, sure. Ooh, there we go. Let's make sure we got all of it.
Yay! A print so clear it's dazzling!
Dazzling?
Anyway, this print took a lot of effort to find. Let's match it up right away.
So we're not done yet? This is quite a process.
Well, there's no point in finding a fingerprint and not knowing who the owner is, right?
I guess she's right.
Look at the fingerprint data we got from Mr. Edgeworth, and point out the person you think left these prints.
Huh? How am I supposed to know who it was?
I could make a pretty good guess. The bloody handprint and the fingerprints are in different places, right? That means that the prints probably don't have anything to do with our case. So, whose fingerprints would we most likely find on this evidence locker?
That would be Gumshoe, I bet you anything. Oh yeah, what do you know? That's Gumshoe's print.
Aha! So these prints belong to Detective Gumshoe. Something wrong, Mr. Wright? You gave me this so what look.
I guess that's probably because I was thinking, so what?
Okay, so we came up with nothing this time, but there's always next time. Sometimes you hit, sometimes you miss. You gotta roll with the punches, Mr. Wright.
Thanks for the sympathy. Wait, if I remember correctly, there was one other handprint in this room. Let's check it out. This is where we got a luminol fluid reaction, right?
Right! There was a handprint here! Okay, wanna try using this?
There go her eyes sparkling again. Okay, let's check for prints.
That's the spirit. Oh, but I have to warn you about something first.
What?
The area with the blood was wiped away, right?
We only ended up finding it using chemical means.
Any prints in that area will have been wiped away too.
Oh, right. So that means no prints.
Would you say the probability of your hypothesis is high?
Don't ask me!
Anyway, we must try to find prints that weren't wiped away.
Prints other than the ones left by the bloody hand. Oh, so like right About here, maybe? Yeah, there we go. Okay, so who are we looking at? Oh shit. Jake Marshall? What were you doing in here, buddy? Hey, these fingerprints, they...
Whose are they? Whose? Is it someone I know?
It's Officer Marshall.
Huh? Officer Jake Marshall?
Marshall's fingerprints added to the court record, found in a bloody handprint left in the evidence room. The print had been wiped.
That's got to be a coincidence. He's not involved in the crime.
Emma, this is decidedly different from Detective Gumshoe's prints. The luminol reaction. The blood and the fingerprints are in the same place.
Oh! Oh!
So we have Jake Marshall's fingerprints on a wiped bloodstain.
But why would Officer Marshall...
It looks like our investigation is finally turning up some results. I guess this is what you'd call decisive evidence.
I don't believe it.
Okay, now this next section is going to be a trial. So I'm gonna press on and do this first trial portion. But first I'm gonna get up and use the bathroom real quick. So we'll do this first trial portion and then I'll end the stream. But for the moment, I will be right back.
Alright, and we're back. Time for some testimony.
So, what do you think, Mr. Wright?
I think the prosecution is as confused as we are. After all,
The victim was murdered in 2 different places at the same time, and a different suspect was arrested at each of the crime scenes. Lana! Good morning, Mr. Wright. I apologize for yesterday. I was indisposed.
I hope they didn't hold you too long for questioning.
We just finished, actually.
I'm used to all-nighters, though.
So, how'd it go?
It says Mr. Wright suspects. The police are clueless. I figured as much, so I struck a plea bargain.
A plea bargain? What do you mean by that?
We agreed that if I told them the truth behind this simultaneous murder, they wouldn't seek capital punishment. That's what I mean, Emma.
But Lana, don't tell me you...
Much to my regret, I'm as much in the dark about this as they are.
Miss Sky,
Hmm?
we found trace evidence of a certain person in the police department's evidence room. They belong to They belong to Officer Jake Marshall.
What kind of trace evidence?
Blood-stained fingerprints, to be exact. That's the trump card I have up my sleeve today. You do understand what this means, don't you?
In order to defend my sister, you're going to accuse Mr. Marshall?
We have to play the cards we're dealt. Isn't that right, Miss Sky?
Do what you have to do, Mr. Wright.
The court is now in session for the trial of Miss Lana Sky. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution is... I'm afraid you'll have to clarify. It takes 30 minutes by car to reach the police department from the prosecutor's office. Yet the victim, Bruce Goodman, was slain at both places at the same time. But that's not physically possible, is it? What's more, I hear the victim from the evidence room just disappeared.
Yes, and the body eventually reappeared in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car.
Wow. This is one messed up trial. One of my duties as prosecutor is to present impartial evidence. Today I will present evidence related to the murder at the police department. In so doing, I believe the way in which we should proceed will reveal itself.
Now that's what sets Mr. Edgeworth apart. He sounds so on top of things. Even though he doesn't know what's going on himself.
And that's supposed to be an admirable trait? Very well, let the trial resume. On the day of the crime, what exactly transpired at the police department? Mr. Edgeworth, you may call your first witness of the day to the stand. For its first witness, the prosecution calls the suspect of the murder that occurred at the police department. The suspect? You mean the so-called murderer? Oh boy. Things are getting wild from the get-go. Will the witness please state his name and occupation? Yes, sir! I am Officer Mike Meekins, sir. My occupation is, that would be murderer, sir! So you're telling us you're a professional killer? Sir! It was me, sir! I'm the one who did it! I'll never kill anyone again, sir! You've gotta believe me, sir! Actually, what we'd like to hear from you is, sir, I'm what you would call part of the younger generation, sir! A person whose actions adults can't possibly comprehend! Please, Mr. Edgeworth, sir! Help me, sir! Officer Meekins? Yes, sir! Give us your report of the crime. Consider that an order. Yes, sir, as you wish. After all, I am part of a generation that must be told what to do, sir.
You can't fault him for a lack of enthusiasm.
Crime report, sir. Although it's not my normal duty, I was assigned to guard the evidence room that day. I spotted a suspicious man on the security screen and rushed into the room. I was only doing what I was trained to do, sir. I was suddenly attacked. I fought for my life, then I did it. After that, I passed out, until another officer smacked me awake. So the victim, Detective Goodman, attacked you. Do unto others before they do unto you. That's the Meekins family motto, sir. I see. Then you fainted, and a colleague helped you regain consciousness. Yes, sir. He knocked me upside the head, sir. Very well. The defense may begin its cross-examination. What I need here is more info to work with. So, I guess we're just gonna press every statement until we get something. Mr. Meekins, you work in the General Affairs Department, do you not? Yes, sir. I'm in charge of hiring new recruits, sir. Yikes. Now there's a scary thought. Evidence transfer was taking place on the day of the crime, which meant many officers were given special tasks not ordinarily performed. I was in charge of guarding the Blue Badger, sir. The Blue Badger? Yes, sir. The lovely police mascot created by the Chief of Detectives, sir. There's my boy. I was to ensure it wasn't broken during the transferal process. That was my sole mission for the day, sir. I see. This sounds like a very, important mission. After the award ceremony finished that day, there were many people running around. Then I relocated the Blue Badger to the evidence room. There were so many, my bad. Oh, so that's why you went to the evidence room. Tell us, what did you see when you got there? Suspicious man on the security screen. In order to enter the evidence room, you need an ID card, am I correct? Precisely, sir! I have one right here around my neck! So then, your ID number should be listed on here, right? There it is! I found it! This is the one right here! Could you please read us the number? Yes, sir! It's 4989596! That's my number, sir! I see. Huh? But the number 4989596 is shown as being used twice! Please explain, witness. It's no real mystery, sir. The first time is when I relocated the Blue Badger to the evidence room. And the second time is when I went to go get him after everything settled down. I see. So it was during that second time when... Yes, sir, that was when I spotted the man on the security screen. Okay, so now we've updated the ID card record. I was only doing what I was trained to do, sir. I was suddenly attacked. So, you were attacked. Can you please tell us exactly what happened to you? It was a knife, sir! A knife! Detective Goodman pulled a knife on you? What happened then? Well, with me charging in on him like that, he looked as surprised as I was. You weren't exactly the kind of person someone would want to run into. That's when I reacted, sir. I swung my arms like an octopus, struggling to detain him. That's how I got this gash on my hand.
Maybe if you just kept your cool, your hand wouldn't be...
When I saw the blood trickling down my arm, I panicked. I grabbed the man by his collar. I fought for my life. Then I did it. What exactly do you mean when you say you did it? I know I don't look the type, but I'm really into kung fu films, sir. The man let his guard down for just an instant, so I snatched his knife from him. You took his knife? characters in this case is a blunt rotation. Good God, don't they all need it? I spun him around and around and performed a disarming maneuver. I made sure to close my eyes like a man. See. He must have been desperate. The next thing I knew, his white coat was drenched in a sea of my blood, and then the next thing I knew... Yes? Meekins takes one puff and dies instantly. He punched me right in my face, sir! After that, I passed out until another officer smacked me awake.
About what time did you regain consciousness?
No offense, sir, but how am I supposed to know that? I was unconscious.
Oh, right.
Zvari, will you pass me that blunt?
Now, according to the report from the officer that woke up the witness, it was about 5:30.
He hit me right in the head, too. I woke up crying tears of pain. That's nice. I mean, it's nice that you recovered, that is. When I came around, though, I made sure to finish my mission, sir.
Your mission?
Yes, sir, the Blue Badger, sir. I returned him to the entrance before things got out of hand.
Oh, well, we can all rest easy now.
I believe we now have a fairly accurate picture of what happened.
Yes, Your Honor. Only one thing remains unclear. Was the man this officer murdered really the victim? He's got a point.
Yes, Officer Meekins. With regard to that, sir, take a look at this. It was sent to my jail cell. Chief Gant delivered it to me just this morning, sir.
The chief? Delivered it?
What is that? Videotape? Yes, sir, that's absolutely right, sir. A videotape, sir. It contains footage from the security camera in the evidence room.
What? But I specifically asked if there was such a tape, and was told it had been mistakenly erased.
That's quite a mistake. I just do what I'm told, sir. It's the only thing I'm really good at.
Looks like communication with the police department is as good as ever.
Well then, let's have a look. Show us the video of you murdering the victim. Oh, please stop using that word, murder, sir.
I have no idea why @me text would get a giant wall of notifications from my tweets either. A video of a real murder. Just what are we getting ourselves into? Alright, everybody get ready, because you're gonna see this video a whole bunch of times over the course of this case.
Well, I believe we're all thinking the same thing. How can we deal with these unsettling feelings stirred within us? Of a deep sexual lust for the Blue Badger. What the hell was that wriggling piece of plywood? Oh my god, Edgeworth said hell. Sir, that is the pride and joy of the entire Criminal Affairs Department, sir. It's the Blue Badger, sir. Oh, why am I not surprised this isn't going smoothly? Alright, security video. My second favorite piece of evidence in this case. Yes, well, anyway, this tape seems to prove that the witness did indeed encounter, someone in the evidence room, and some sort of, activity did take place. This Blue Badger gets me going almost as much as the Blue Waffle. That's an old one. Your Honor, instead of relying on clearly incomplete footage, the witness's testimony will suffice. Is that alright with you, Officer Meekins? Yes, sir. As you wish, sir. His face can't be clearly seen in the video, but there's no question that the other person was Detective Goodman, sir. I mean, he opened the locker, which required Detective Goodman's fingerprint to do. The locker he opened is unquestionably Detective Goodman's locker, sir, so it must be him. No one else could have unlocked it. What's this about a fingerprint? Each detective has been given a locker equipped with a fingerprint. God, I was almost about to say fingerprint. Equipped with a fingerprint-activated lock. These locks ensure that each locker can only be opened by the detective it belongs to. Intriguing. That would mean the victim at the crime scene would have to have been Detective Goodman. I was gonna do a Joe Biden. I'm psychically preventing myself from saying slurs on stream. Very well, the defense may begin its cross-examination. I don't know where this cross-examination will lead, but everything begins with contradictions. That's where I have to start. So... I think the most clear opening to a contradiction is that it is possible for someone else to open that locker somehow. However, the most important detail is not shown in this video. The man's face. Sir, if I may say something, sir, please do. After all, you are the one being examined. I don't understand why the man's face is so important in this case, sir. I mean, it was his hand that opened the fingerprint lock, and it was his hand that tried to thrust his knife into my body, sir. My unsettled state can testify enough to this, sir. Yes, you have a point. The footage doesn't lie. That is, unless the defense can find a problem with it.
Mr. Wright, let's check the court record again.
Is there a problem with the security video? Yeah, there's a problem. Regarding the video contained on this tape, there is one thing in particular that seems rather strange. Strange? This contradiction leads to the possibility that the man may not have been Detective Goodman. What? This video contains such a contradiction. Interesting. Your Honor, I have a proposal. Yes, Mr. Edgeworth. It's for the defense. Will you marry me? I propose we have the defense become my lawfully wedded husband. Point out to us this alleged contradiction in the video. He would want me to point it out. Very well, proposal accepted. Let us further inspect this piece of evidence. I will now play the security tape. Mr. Wright, please show us this contradiction you speak of. I have to point out a problem in the video? This is the first time I've ever had to do that.
You can do it, Mr. Wright. It's set up so you can fast forward, rewind, or pause the video. Just take a good look and be sure to point out the right thing.
Please don't play it too many times. I can't stand watching this video. How did this guy ever become a police officer?
Now then, Mr. Wright, please enlighten us. Where is the contradiction that indicates the man may not be Detective Goodman?
Oh shit. My god. What is it? No way, I'm not. Okay, so this is the beginning of the video, and you can see none of these lights are on. This one's already opened. It's already opened, because the light's on. And now that glove's falling out. Okay. The thing that's strange about this video, shit am I... I know it's the fact that the locker was already open, I just need to get it early enough. I'm not going through all this dialogue again. The thing that's strange about this video has got to be this. Officer Meekins?
Sir, do you mean me, sir?
As I understand it, the locker apparatus works like this. When you grab the handle, a sensor reads your fingerprint. If it's a match, the light turns on and the lock is released.
According to my very limited experience, that's the way I understand it, sir.
If so, then something is seriously wrong with this picture. When the victim reaches for the handle to open the locker, let's rewind to a little earlier. Here, notice the light?
What's this? It's already lit.
Precisely my point, Your Honor. The locker was already open before the victim grabbed the handle.
Order! Order! What's the meaning of this?
It's very simple, Your Honor. The locker wasn't locked on the day of the crime. But the locker locks are controlled by an electronic system. When a door is shut, a sensor is triggered, and the locker is automatically locked.
Oh, I know. It must have broken down. Of course, I'm not an expert in this.
That's not likely, Your Honor. The sensor would detect and report any malfunction.
Oh well, it just goes to show novices should keep their mouths shut. So then, Mr. Wright, do you have an explanation?
Me, Your Honor?
Yes. Why wasn't the locker locked?
Me, Your Honor? Yes, well, you see, this isn't exactly my field. What do you think, Ms. Scientific Investigator?
Huh? Oh, maybe something like jam the system sensor?
Something jammed the sensor? Say, there's something else that seems out of place in this video.
Yeah, I thought so too. There's got to be another clue somewhere in this footage.
Very well, let's inspect the video once more.
Motherfucker.
The locker wasn't locked. Mr. Wright, please point out the cause for this.
Give it up for day 23! Okay. Okay, whatever. Okay, locker's already lit. Dude's opening his locker. And then that glove falls out. Shit, go back. Please watch closely. This is the continuation of the part I showed you earlier.
What's this? Something white fell out of the locker.
But sir, it's been my experience that things fall out when doors are opened.
I often fall out in roll great instances when I open my car door.
We can't be sure that item was completely inside the locker to begin with.
What do you mean?
The sensor triggers the lock when the door is shut. What if something was inserted, say, between the sensor and the door?
Inserted, you say? Sort of like I inserted into your mom last night.
This white thing wasn't inside the locker. It was stuck between the door and the sensor. I've had it with this regular show as judged. Sorry, it's just low-hanging fruit.
Oh, I understand now, sir. It's just like my tie. 2 out of 3 times it gets stuck in the door when I get out of my patrol vehicle, sir. Instead of the door closing, my tie chokes me. But the object would have to be extremely thin to fit in the door.
Not only that, it would also have to block electrical currents. You know who else contradicted the evidence? My mom! It would need to be an insulator.
Yes, an insulator. But at the crime scene,
there just might have been something that fits the description.
But sir, by insulator, you don't mean...
I think I've finally got this figured out.
Very well. Would the defense please present the relevant evidence? What was this insulator that was stuck in the locker door?
I have a glove, right? I can't remember what Pop sounds like, or else I would do an impression for you. I found this near the locker. A thin rubber glove.
But we can't be sure that this was the victim's locker.
It has a tag that says SL9 incident. The video seems to depict the victim opening the locker, but that isn't the case. The lit lamp attests to this. On the day of the crime, even I could have opened that locker. Is this not so, Officer Meekins?
Sir, it would appear so, sir. Order! 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 So are we to believe, then, that the victim, whom this witness stabbed in the evidence room, was not Detective Goodman?
Pops dies in the series finale? What the fuck? Do not be misled, Your Honor.
What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth?
The defense has merely demonstrated that possibility, and nothing more. The victim in the video was indeed Bruce Goodman. The prosecution will offer one more testimony to prove this. What? Officer Meekins, please testify about this.
Sir! Me, sir? I'm not sure what you're referring to, sir.
Stop playing Ace Attorney, we gotta watch a regular show now!
Oh! You mean that, sir? Of course, sir.
Is this a joke?
Very well, begin your testimony. There's one other thing that proves the man was Detective Goodman, sir. To enter the evidence room, one must use their ID card. When an ID card is used, there's a record of it. At the time of the crime, the detective had used his card.
An ID card record.
An ID card record, I see.
I have the ID card record right here, Your Honor. The ID used at 5:14 is that of the victim. Just before the crime, yes, without a doubt, that is the victim's ID. However, one thing does strike me as unusual. Several hundred cases should have been due for transferal. Why were there so few people using this room? And this particular evidence room is only used for storing certain special cases. Special cases? Extremely violent cases involving police staff.
Just hearing that makes my hair stand on end.
Me too, although it doesn't make much of a difference. There were only a few cases up for transferal there, and most were cleared up by noon. Right, I see. Now let us move on to the cross-examination. Okay. Now I think to enter, you got your ID card. There's a record of it. The detective had used this card. However, what was that thing that we got at the police station? It's like Goodman had lost something, which could very well be his ID card, which means someone else could have been using it. Mice? Wait one moment, Officer Meekins. I'm not good at waiting, sir. I have the victim's ID card right here. I found it at the crime scene. That makes sense. When I say crime scene, I'm not referring to the evidence room at the police department. I mean the other crime scene. The underground parking lot at the prosecutor's office. Your Honor, I have one more piece of evidence to present. It's a very important clue regarding the victim's ID card. Lost item report. It's only half completed. But it shows that Detective Goodman had lost something on the day of the crime. Something important enough to fill out this report. Let me guess. You believe that this something to be... You believe this something to be his ID card, right? The pauses as he doesn't see us goofing around in chat, I treasure so dearly. Yeah, sometimes, like, when I just see, like, a bunch of messages going up in the top right corner, I have to pause and read them because, like, something is happening. Thank you, Calm Down, Chill Out for the follow, I appreciate it. I can't say for sure, but there is a high probability. On the day of the crime, Detective Goodman was not carrying his card. Order, order! So now, what does this all mean? It can only mean one thing. It doesn't even require much thought. Which is great for me, because I have no brain cells. The man Officer Meekins encountered in the evidence room was not Detective Goodman, but rather the man who stole his ID card. Once you've scrubbed all the floors in Hyrule, then we can talk about dinner. Does the prosecution have a response? I have only one thing to say to the defense. Bravo, Mr. Wright. Bravo. Allow me to summarize the defense's argument. At 5:15 p.m. on the day of the crime, the man in the evidence room Officer Meekins encountered was not Detective Goodman. There are two grounds to support this. First, the locker in the evidence room was already unlocked. Second, the victim lost his ID card. Am I correct so far, Mr. Wright? Yes. What's he up to? That being the case, we must inevitably arrive at a single conclusion. If the victim in this video is a fake, then the murder in the evidence room is also fake. In other words, the security camera does not show the instant of the murder. That is... well, I guess that's right. Is something wrong, Mr. Wright? Only moments ago you seemed content to be pointing your finger around.
This isn't going to end well.
Well, well, it seems you finally realized exactly what you've gone to such lengths to prove.
Explain yourself, Mr. Edgeworth.
The defense has already done the explaining for me. The victim in this video is a fake, which means a murder did not take place at the police department at 5:15 on the day of the crime.
So
the real crime could only take place at one location, the underground parking lot at the prosecutor's office, the murderer being Ms. Lana Skye, the defendant. The evidence is compelling. A trustworthy witness observed the moment the defendant used the murder weapon. Okay. I think you're going a little bit far calling Angel Star trustworthy, because all she did was sit up there and lie her luscious ass off. I knew that testimony was way too shabby. It was all a trap from the beginning.
the activity in the evidence room still leaves many questions unanswered.
What if they loaded up the VHS and it started playing Narumitsu Toxic MD? Oh, I would love to edit that if I could.
Who exactly was the victim Officer Meekins encountered? And where did this person disappear to? However, this trial's purpose is to examine only the murder of Detective Goodman.
Just so, Your Honor.
Mr. Wright, you have to do something, or else Lana...
What do I do? How am I supposed to get myself out of this mess? Object. Objection! That's all I got. One moment, Your Honor. What now, Mr. Wright? Don't tell me you're objecting to what you've just proven. Of course not. But I almost walked right into the prosecution's trap. What are you talking about? This cross-examination has proven one thing, and one thing only. The security video did not show the actual murder. And we're gonna have to watch a whole 30 seconds of it, just for some fucking reason. Okay, I think that's enough. I think we get the point that he didn't actually show the murder. However, it cannot be said that it is unrelated to the murder in the parking lot. Specifically, large amounts of blood traces were found in the evidence room. The defense demands further examination into the truth of the matter.
Mr. Edgeworth?
Yes, Your Honor?
If this court were to examine this further, other witnesses will be necessary. Is the prosecution prepared?
I'm sorry, Your Honor. The prosecution considered the incident at the police department to be unrelated. We have not prepared any other witnesses for this incident. This just might be my chance. Time to call a certain Texas Ranger to the stand.
Mr. Wright, do you mean...
Your Honor, the defense would like to request a specific witness.
Oh? Whom do you have in mind?
Someone we have reason to believe knows the truth. The truth behind the activities that took place in the evidence room. The prosecution requests to hear this person's name, before deciding whether or not to comply.
Very well then, Mr. Wright. This person whom you would have testify, what is his or her name?
Let's see. Thinks he's a cowboy. And yet he's 10 years older than Wolverine. Insane. Officer Jake Marshall. Why him? I can't let Edgeworth know everything just yet. He's in charge of the evidence room. I feel we should hear what he has to say. The prosecution agrees to the defense's request. Since he was responsible for guarding the room, we should hear his testimony. Fortunately, he works in the police department.
We shouldn't need longer than 20 minutes to prepare. Very well. The court will take a 30-minute recess while the witness is subpoenaed. Will the prosecution please prepare the witness during this time? We will, Your Honor. Court is now in recess. There's no stopping you, is there, Mr. Wright? Huh? What do you mean? You called for Jake Marshall. And it seems you figured everything out. I haven't figured anything out.
Lana, you're the one who knows everything.
Emma?
You always know everything. Why don't you just tell us? Mr. Wright is trying his hardest to protect you.
I don't recall ever asking for his protection.
How can you be so cold? Don't you trust us? Don't you trust me?
Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals. Guess I am. I'll come back later. Oh, wait, Detective Gumshoe! What is it? You've got a lot of nerve, pal, making a detective run all around while on duty. And to top it off, you call me here. I've seen happier people at funerals. Sorry, Detective. You better be, pal. Hey! I didn't see you there, Chief Prosecutor Sky. That's okay. So, have you brought what I asked? Oh! You mean this, right? My apologies, Detective. Due to my present circumstances, I was forced to use Mr. Wright's name when making my request. My name? Never in a million years would I have thought it was you who asked me. Could I bother you to bring me the SL9 incident files? I'll need them by noon. Talk about crazy. The SL9 incident?
But Lana, that's...
I thought Mr. Wright might need them, so I had them brought here. Here, you might do well to read them. I can't believe you, the chief prosecutor, were a witness in that case. Miss Sky was a witness? Okay, SL9 incident files received from Lana Sky. Files for the Joe Dark killings, solved 2 years ago. Take it from me, you don't want anything to do with serial murders. No shit, Gumshoe. Oh, what? Now that I brought you your stuff, you're just gonna ignore me? Emma? But why... Why is your name in here?
What? My name's in there? I don't know, unless... I'm Joe Dark? No, it couldn't be. Lana, this SL9 incident, is that...
That's the classification number the police filed it under. 2 years ago, the rest of the world knew it as the Joe Dark killings.
The... Joe Dark? No. No, Lana! That's over with! No!
Emma, wait! She ran away. You know what? I just remembered. I gotta be somewhere. Sorry, pal, but I'm out of here. Jake Marshall, Angel Starr, Damon Gant, Miles Edgeworth. Not to mention Lana and Emma. Everyone involved in this case is connected to those killings 2 years ago. This can't be just a coincidence. Knowing you, you just might be able to figure it out. Time to get back to the trial, Mr. Wright. Best of luck. I'd better take a good look at this file. And that is where I will leave you for tonight. Well, for the whole weekend, till Monday. Coming in at almost exactly 3 hours here. So, we're... I don't know, is this about halfway? This is just barely halfway, I think, and it's only just now heating up.
So, hope you all are having fun with this. I know it's a lot longer than we're used to. So, good night, everyone. Hope you're enjoying yourselves, and I will see you all on Monday at 7 Eastern. Everyone have a good night now. Goodbye.